وأن هذا العلم مخصوص بما قد شاع فيه عند كل العلماء.
الحمد لله وحده والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده أما بعد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another halqa in this series of Seeking Knowledge. In today's episode we're going to talk about money as a student in the Islamic University of Medina. And so generally speaking, in short, the student that is single in the Islamic University of Medina, then the university will provide him with a stipend of 840 riyals, which roughly equates to £150. As a single student, in our time, that was enough for a student to live on. Today, prices have changed a little bit, things have gone up a little bit. It's still very possible to live off that money and as a single student, because number one, you're not paying for rent, you've got your place of sleep sorted, you've got free buses going to the haram and coming back from Masjid al-Nabawi and back. If you choose to eat from the mat'am, if you choose to eat from the restaurant in the jamia, you get a discounted, a very generous discount on food for, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, 150 riyals for the whole month. You get breakfast, dinner and lunch and dinner. So for 150 riyals, you're sorted for the whole month. So you've got more than enough to live on and for your basic needs. As for like weekends and maybe going to play football or maybe going out to eat at restaurants on the weekends and stuff like that to chill out, as students do on the weekend, then even if you're living off the mat'am, then you've got enough money to spend. As for some students who don't eat at the mat'am and they eat out every day, then it gets really tight. The money gets really tight. So what should a person do? طيب, generally speaking, the university doesn't allow students to work in when they're in the ma'had and when they are in the bachelor's degree. That is so they can focus completely and give their full attention to their studies, so they don't get distracted by work. And so that's the origin. You're not allowed to work if you're in the kulliyah or you're in the ma'had as a student. As for teaching something online in your own time, back home in your own country, then that does not enter into the jurisdiction of the university. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. And so if there is a necessity, then that is a way that you can do so. With regards to students that are in a master's and PhD programs, then they are allowed to work within the university or inside Masjid al-Nabawi or the likes. That is because it doesn't coincide with their studies. They have a lot more free time, let's just say. As for, and this is the main صلب الموضوع that I want to discuss, the main course if you like. What about those places that give out money to students? There are certain pious muhsineen, people that are very generous, that give out money. And there's a very well known, I'm not going to mention his name, the students all know him. Once a month they go to his apartment or building or something like this, and they line up and they get some money from that generous person. Should you go out of your way to that place and take money from them or not? This is what I want to discuss. Or anywhere similar to this where people are giving out money and students are going out of their way to get that money. In terms of permissibility, then it's permissible. We're not talking about that. We're talking about al-afdaliyya, what is better. And what is better is that a student should have some izzah, some high dignity and integrity, and stay away from things that are lowly. The Prophet ﷺ, he said that the yadul ulya, that the hand that is higher, is better than al yadul sufla. And there's a funny story with me and my roommate in the university once upon a time, because I've been always of the opinion of never taking money from any of these places. I read in the biographies of the scholars like Imam Ahmed that he would never take money from anybody. He would never take money from anybody. And that was istighna'an, yani trying to free yourself, and he was freeing himself from the people and only being in need of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we're talking about afdaliyya, we're not talking about permissibility, it's allowed. We're talking about what's better. If a person has a need, should he go and ask or should he be patient? And better is to be patient, not to ask and go around asking money from the people. And so Imam Ahmad, he would never ask. Even when he was on a journey to traveling to seek knowledge and he's trying to go to Yemen and his money ran out in Mecca, he decided to do labor work, to work with his own hands, fixing something or putting something on a animal, a riding beast for another person until he gets some money from them. He would work with his own hand, and then that money he earned from the work he would use to continue his journey to Yemen. And when he reached Yemen, he wouldn't accept any money from his Sheikh Abdul Razzaq al-San'ani. And so this is a high noble station. And there's even a story once where Imam Ahmad was in a cave, and I believe he was having a shower, so he took his clothes off, and so he went to have a shower in the cave, and then when he went to try and come out, his clothes was gone. Someone took it. And so he stayed in the cave and he wrapped himself up with some I can't remember exactly what it's in English, but some woolen thing that is part of the cave. Yeah, and it's not clothes or anything, it's just something that he could cover his body with completely. And he stayed in that cave for many hours, up until he was, if you like, declared missing. And so people started searching for him. Where is Imam Ahmad? Where is Imam Ahmad? And so one student went to the cave and saw Imam Ahmad in the cave. And he asked him, what are you doing? And Imam Ahmad told him, X, Y, and Z happened to me. And he said, here is my clothes, take it. And he said, La. He refused. He didn't want anything from the people for free. And so they weren't going anywhere. And Imam Ahmad said to him, out of necessity, and he said, have you written down such and such a hadith? And the man said, no. He said, give me a book and pen. I will write it down to you. And this writing down, this naskh, back in the day, they never had publishing houses. They would copy books. So a hadith, if it's in a specific book or a specific place, to get a copy of it, someone would have to write it down. This writing down was a work. It was labor work. You writing down for somebody else that people would take money for. So Imam Ahmad said, I will write it down for you. And based on that, you can give me this clothes or this money. And so he's not taking it for free. To that extent, Imam Ahmad used to go. And so I was of the opinion I've never taken money following this, trying to emulate this. And me and my roommate, we had a little argument, not a friendly argument, and or not even an argument, a conversation on this topic, because he wanted to go to this place where they give out money once a month, and I was telling him, don't go. And he was trying to mention his proofs, and I was mentioning the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that I mentioned, that the higher hand, the yad al-ulya, is better than the yad al-sufla. And that what I remember studying is that the hand that is giving is better than the hand that is receiving. And so he said, no, that's not what it means. It means X, Y, and Z. And we kind of left it on that note. We attended the lesson of our Shaykh. We used to attend both of us together. The lesson of our Shaykh, rahimahullah ta'ala, Shaykh Muhammad Diya al-Rahman al-A'zami, when he was explaining Sahih Muslim. And when he reached this hadith, we were taking this hadith in one of the lessons of Sahih Muslim. And we were both attending, and he was sitting to my left, I remember, a couple of people away. And I remember the Shaykh began explaining the hadith, and he said, Al-Yad al-Ulya means the hand that is giving, and the hand, the sufla, the lower hand, is the hand that is taking. And this is exactly what I was saying. And so I was trying to think, who was I having this conversation and argument with? And then it clicked, it was my roommate. And so I looked to my left, and he was already looking at me. And afterwards we both agreed on what the Shaykh had said, rahimahullah ta'ala rahmatan wasi'ah. And so I highly advise the students to follow that better option of not going to these places, going out of your way to go and take money. And it's not that much, it's only 150 riyals. And you're waking up before Salat al-Fajr, and you're lining up, you're in somewhat way lowering yourself as a student of knowledge, because the knowledge that you carry has to have some haiba with it. The person who is carrying the knowledge in his vessel, which is the heart, he has to be better than the rest of the people. He has to go extra lengths. He has to sacrifice more. And I believe this is one of those things that a person could do. He doesn't attend places seeking the dunya. He doesn't attend to royalties and princes and people of money and businessmen and tujar just seeking out their dunya. And you're a student of knowledge. This is something that la yaliq, it's not something that is befitting. That you should be doing tatabbu' of the people of the dunya, seeking their dunya. Al-Hasan al-Basri, it was said about him that he is Sayyid al-Nas. He's the master of all of the people. And they said, someone asked why? And they said, because all of the people are in need of him and he is not in need of them. Why? Everyone's in need of him because of the knowledge he has, and he didn't have any need of them because he never used to chase their dunya. He never used to seek out their dunya and their worldly life that they have from money or the likes. And so, O student of knowledge, I would advise you, have this izzah to nafs, this extra length of dignity and respect for yourself as a carrier of knowledge. As a carrier of knowledge. I hope the message is clear. I'm not saying that it's haram. I'm saying it is permissible, but it is better, the afdaliyah, as we mentioned. If someone, as for, and I'll end with this point, as for if a person comes to you, you're in need, and they come to you and they offer you something, you didn't go out of your way, you didn't seek it, like what the students are doing in the scenario that I told you, then the Prophet ﷺ, he said to Umar bin Khattab, he gave him something from an item of some sort, I can't remember at the moment. So Umar bin Khattab refused it and he said, there are poorer people than me that need it. And the Prophet ﷺ said, Ya Umar, whatever comes to you from this wealth and you are not seeking it, you're not going out of your way to get it, it comes to you as a gift or the like, then take it. And so we follow the Prophet ﷺ's advice in this from Umar bin Khattab. Someone gives you something as a gift, they want to help you out as a student, as a gift, then it is allowed to take it. It is allowed to take it. Unless, the scholars they mention, unless you fear that that person is going to feel like they have a favor over you and you're going to feel like you're lower than them, then it is allowed. It is allowed to refuse. It is allowed to refuse. And so, kun taliba ilmin jaddan fi tariqihi, someone that is serious upon this path of seeking knowledge, and someone that has this high dignity and integrity. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to give us tawfiq in seeking knowledge and to continue upon this path. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to protect us from trying to use this deen and this seeking of knowledge in order to attain the dunya. Rather, we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to make us from those that use the dunya and the wasa'il of the dunya in order to reach the akhirah, not the other way around. To reach the hereafter, not the other way around. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam wa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, baraka ala nabiyyina Muhammad, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.